We're going to do a real quick short series here. It was a 2-film series, Psycho Cop and Psycho Cop 2. Now, a buddy of mine a while back recommended the second one to me, saying that I would really enjoy it and that the first one was dog shit and to skip it. And I usually never skip the first film, but I listened to him in this instance because I was like, I'll have some fun with this second one so we can discuss it, whatnot. I watched it, I really had a good time with it, and then eventually I knew I was going to have to finish the series out because I'm a completist whore, and that's just what I do. So I watched both again. I watched the second one again yesterday, actually. I couldn't do it last night. Couldn't do this review. But let's talk about Psycho Cop 1, which my buddy was absolutely right. This was terrible. And not in a so bad it's good kind of way. Now, I'm sure if you had a couple beers and you sat down and you MST3K'd, added your own little commentary and ripped apart the shitty acting and the absurd logic and the decisions that are so asinine you fucking are wanting to vomit. Yes, and I get that. Like, I'm not... if you have watched my channel enough and you see my taste in movies, there are plenty of shitty movies that I fully enjoy and have a great time with. This one just didn't do anything for me. All the shitty aspects of it weren't funny. Like, the second one is kind of like this, but the comedic elements, whether, they were intended or not, worked for me. In this one, it all just felt like it was trying too hard to be silly, and it wasn't working at all for me. So I really didn't like this one. But we're going to talk about it anyway, because that's what I do. And of course, I'll give it some credit here and there where I thought it was okay or good in like 2-second little clips. But yeah, I didn't write down a ton because I thought this movie was pretty much boring and super redundant. Now, I think my biggest problem with this, which is actually funny because it's the same actor and the same character playing the antagonist in both films. So the Psycho Cop remains in this one and in the second one. I didn't like him at all in this. I thought he was terrible in this. Like, I know he's trying to be goofy and he's trying to be over the top and have all these puns and all this stuff. And none of it worked for me in this one. But in the second one, he brings a pretty similar performance, but 1, the writing is better. The puns are actually funny. And 2, his performance just seems better suited for the film in which it's in. So it actually worked for me in the second film. It didn't work for me here. I can't even believe this movie got a sequel, honestly. But I think it's pretty apparent that this was playing off of the success of Maniac Cop from a year before. So this is them cashing in on the success of that film, and quickly, because this movie was thrown together in a weekend, script and all. But yeah, he kind of reminded me of Ricky in this one from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, Garbage Day kind of stuff, where his eyebrows are out of whack. He just like overdoing it in his facial expressions to try to pretend like he's this crazy guy. Like, I'm a crazy cop. Ooh, I'm a psycho cop. Oh God, it's bad. And his puns are terrible, and his fake laugh is arguably the fakest laugh I've ever seen, up there with Ricky from Silent Night, Deadly Night. So he just wasn't working for me, and I know people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, oh, well, Ricky's hilarious. He is. But it's like a Ricky that didn't work. I know that sounds crazy because Ricky didn't work, but he did work, right? I mean, for the people who enjoy that movie, like me, Ricky works in the poor way that he does. This guy is like a knockoff of him, and it just isn't anywhere near as funny. When they're driving, the main characters here, I didn't fucking remember any of these people's names. I'm not committing any of this to memory. All of my memory is on this paper. And then once I'm done with this review, I'm fucking flushing it from my mind. So you'll get no names from me here. But the kids here that are driving, they are so unbelievably nervous when they drive past a cop. And it's funny because they see the cop coming up, and the girl's like, oh my God, slow down. He's like, I'm going under the speed limit. And she's like, well, that's not good enough. You need to go even slower. But they see the cop, and they have like a good minute-long dialogue in the car about how, like, oh my God, let's hide the beers, and oh my God, am I going too fast? And, you know, like, cops can be so unfair, and whatever. All these different lines from each one of them before they pass the cop. So clearly he's going slow enough. He's going to get pulled over for going too fucking slow. If you can see a cop for a full minute before you pass him, I'm pretty sure you're good on, like, your speed and like, it's not like they just passed him and they look back and they're like, oh my God, he's going to come after us. They see him in front of them for a long time, like at least 45 seconds. That's a long time when you're driving 45 miles per hour. So he says, like, the speed limit's like 45 and he's going under, something like that. So he must have been up there. Like, 45 seconds at that speed? But, yeah, anyway, it's like a full mile. A little less, but whatever. It's still crazy far. And the stalking from the just pretty much everything with the cop in this movie is just dreadful, honestly. The stalking, his walk, his movements, his facial expressions, his acting, everything is dreadful, and not in a good way. But it all works in the second one. So and it's a different writer and a different director. So they knew how to handle this character, and the other guys didn't at all. Which is funny because it's their character. They made him up, and they didn't know how to handle their own character. So saying, like, well, only the people who made the first one know their characters, and anyone who comes after them is just going to be some kind of inferior rip-off, or, like, you know, telling, like, I've seen that in a few films where it's just like, well, you can't compete with the original because those are the guys who created them and this is their character. Clearly, with a film like this, it can be done. They can take the character and elevate them completely and understand them better than the people who created them. This movie proves that throughout the entire length of the second film. I feel like I'm talking about the second film more than I'm talking about this piece of shit. But yeah. The guy who he like has a beer can, he just throws it out the window and his friend gives him shit for it and he's just like, whatever. Litter bugs must die. That was like an instant, like, I hope this guy fucking dies instantly. Who throws trash out the window of their car? Oh my God, like, I felt like that Indian in the commercial, like a little teardrop came and then a knife came up. I'm gonna fucking kill that prick. And I also think he's somebody who says something later in the movie. I can't remember. I'll find it here on my notes. The house that they go to stay at looked like the Winchester Mansion. It was so huge. And they were like, we can't find anyone who wants to take over this house. It's like, really? Like, because they can't afford it? This place looks incredible. Where that location is, whose house that was, that thing was a fucking mansion. It was enormous. What an incredible setting for this low-budget piece of shit. That must have been like the producer's house who like threw $5 at this movie and was like, you can shoot at my house. You know, I'm just trying to make a couple extra bucks here. I'm going to be cheap as fuck and hire the worst people imaginable, be, you know, in front and behind the camera. You can tell I like this movie a whole bunch. When the caretaker of this movie, who lasts like 2 minutes in the film, but is mentioned for like 30 fucking straight minutes by these guys who only talk to him for like 4 seconds. Oh my God, it's so dumb. He offers them a tour of this place, which is clearly huge, and he's taking time out of his busy schedule where he's supposed to be like chopping down trees and doing all these different things. The guy's like, he's like, all right, we'll follow you. And then him and his friend are back there talking. And they're like, well, you know, we can go talk about this after this stupid tour. And it's like, this stupid tour? I think that's the same guy who throws the litter out. So I want him dead. Like, really? This stupid tour? You don't even know what this place is. You've never been here before. This place is enormous. Like, this guy's gonna fuck you. I took that scene way too seriously, but when he said that, it actually pisses me off. And the caretaker, when he's showing them around and when he's walking around throughout the film for like the 5 minutes that he's in it, he just has an axe thrown over his shoulder the whole time he's going for like the fucking, you know, lumberjack look throughout the film of brawny, quicker picker-upper. Does he have an axe? I have no idea. And then there's so many stupid little things thrown in here, like the cop drawing a pentagram and like him, like there's a later scene where the cop's talking about about the cop who went nuts and who becomes a psycho cop, and he's like, talking about his life when he was a kid and all this, and he's like, and that's when he turned to Satan. It was so like the whole like Satan worship stuff was, it was like a couple writers sitting around being like, well, and let's have him worship the devil. It's just kind of like, what's scary? What's horror like? Well, maybe he'll worship the devil and he can draw a pentagram in the dirt and have a 666 tattooed on his hands. So dumb. You could just tell it was like a last minute entry into it. Like, yeah, okay, we'll have some satanic stuff going on here. That's kind of popular right now, right? God, so dumb. And yeah, not only are two of the main characters constantly talking about their conspiracy theories and their friends not listening to them time and time again, but then one of them goes out and is looking at footprints around in this area where the caretaker was supposed to be, and without knowing who's been there before or what the caretaker's feet are like or whatever, he's like, oh, there's this guy and he was standing here and he's been watching us and it looks like he's been here. Like, he turns into a full like Native American tracker in the movie all of a sudden out of nowhere, and you're like, how do you know this? And you know that the footprints are fresh and you can tell the way they were looking and this and so stupid. Then the cop gets on top of the car as they're trying to get away from him, and they're like staring, and he starts yelling out this like, turn the car. So I can't even remember what he says. Something crazy. He just keeps yelling it out. Turn the car, or something like that. Or pull. I don't know what the hell he was saying, to be honest. He just kept repeating it. And then they finally fling him off the car, and they seriously like slowly come up and like touch this fucking branch. Like a little branch, like a little piece of wood that's like sticking out. And that shuts the car off, and it throws the guy and the girl forward into the steering wheel, and they're so fucked up, and the car stalls out, and he's like trying to start it, and the car won't start, and it's like from like touching a branch. Reminded me of the scene in Top Secret when they were making fun of the Ford Pinto, how they used to explode when they were hit, and where they go and they touch the bumper and the car explodes. It reminded me of that. It was that ridiculous. The way they just like touch the branch and the car stalls, it won't start. And then the cop pulls him out. Like, he tries to run out of the car because the cop's like coming up. And he jumps out of the car and he immediately falls to the ground. He grabs and he goes like, oh, my ribs. Your ribs? Really? That car accident like broke your ribs? Oh my God. It sounds like it's fun. It sounds like I'm saying all this thing, but those were scenes that actually made me laugh out loud for like 2 seconds, but the rest of the movie's so boring and so drug out, and them just constantly being like, there's like 30 minutes of them being like, I think one of our friends is missing, and then the other people being like, you're crazy, let's just party. No, but seriously, guys, I think they're missing. Here's some evidence. Oh no, look, we found evidence to the contrary. Oh, well, I guess we look stupid. Oh, wait, no, here's other evidence. I think they're missing. I'm not fucking with you. There's like 30, 40 fucking minutes of this movie where the friends are just kind of going back and forth at each other like, I think somebody's missing. Oh my God. So the branch thing, even though it is funny, it's like a 3-second scene. So a 3-second little tidbit that made me laugh a little bit is not going to take away 40 minutes of people arguing whether or not there's a guy after them. Oh God. I did like that he built some crosses out there in the back area, in the wooded area, and then he hangs them all from him at the end. I thought that was kind of cool, because usually when the bodies start to pile up in these movies, they just find them in like a closet or just randomly strewn somewhere. But like, he set up an area to hang them later. Like, he went out there and built places for them to be put. So he like already was committed to killing that many people. Like, he had all those set up. He was killing every one of them and hanging them out there. So that was kind of cool right there. And yeah, how the fuck did this movie get a sequel? I'm glad it did, because it's far superior. But I was watching it like, how the fuck did this movie get a sequel? Anyway, yeah, but a psycho cop is a terrifying thought. Like, them being able to take advantage of your trust like that is scary as fuck, because there's really nothing you can do. You can't fight back against them. You can't do anything. So what do? You just basically die, unless they're attacking you, and then you can figure out like, oh shit, this isn't right. Then I guess you could try to fight back. But he could be like, no, he was resisting arrest later on. It would just be horrifying if that was to ever happen to you. So, but there's nothing horrifying about this movie except for that it's a piece of shit. All right, let's move on to the second one.